Welcome to this episode of Horrific History and Hauntings. I'm Beth.
And I'm Ramey. We're your hosts, here to talk about the stories that the history books ignore.
From horrific epidemics and ghostly hauntings to the catastrophes and tragic events that have sickened humanity.
Beth, what happened today in history? And I know what we're talking about, but you could tell us.
It's the part 2 of the Sisters in Black. We're not going to have a Today in History because I couldn't find anything that I found interesting. But a bunch of people got Nobel prizes.
You know, Sheldon Cooper and...
Okay, well, Sheldon did not get a Nobel Prize because Sheldon is not real, sadly. One of them was one of our presidents, but I don't recall which one. Not something I was very interested in, so.
I'd say a lot of people got Nobel Prizes because they hand them out around this time of year.
Yeah, congratulations, I guess. We're just going to dive in to these lovely ladies. In part 1, I told you about O.C. Sneed being discovered dead in a bathtub and was reported by one of her bizarre aunts, Virginia Wardlaw. When the police arrived, they found the living conditions in the house very odd, with the lack of basic amenities such as heating and with pretty much no furniture. Virginia's behavior raised suspicion as she constantly avoided answering questions.
Masterfully.
Yes. Though O.C.'s death was reported as a suicide, there were doubts about her ability to do this herself, considering the autopsy showed she died from drowning and she was found to be extremely malnourished and in poor health. So how was she able to do that herself?
Will her body under the water that long.
And then the police discovered the many life insurance policies on O.C., which suggested a possible motive for murder, which led to Virginia being charged with the murder of her niece, O.C. Sneed.
All through the same insurance company, too, which I thought was weird.
Well, they also had some that wasn't. They had multiple from that insurance company, but they had some from
and
others
they had been
as well.
borrowing from it.
Yes. So the press was clearly interested.
Obviously, they made up some stuff earlier on.
Yes, in this unusual murder case involving the strange lady in black, Chief Bell informed them that there was no pen or ink in the house, which indicated that the suicide note must have been written elsewhere. And he pointed out that O.C. had not left the house since they had moved in. So how could she have written this note herself? While the mysterious old lady, Virginia, was in jail, she remained hidden from view. She kept her black cape wrapped around her and never raised her veils to show her face. She isolated herself in her cell, and she even stuffed bits of newspaper into any cracks that let in light.
She's like a vampire.
So depressing.
She seemed to like it that way.
I guess so. When Virginia entered the courtroom, she was met with a crowd of people. She recoiled when she saw the crowd with all eyes on her. And the bailiff had to take her by the arm and guide her to the front of the room, which I don't blame her for this. I may not be covering my face in layers of veils, but if I'm walking into a crowded area, I recoil and grab onto Joey and hold on for dear life. Can't stand crowds. Makes me nervous. When the Essex County officials requested that Virginia remove her veils, she made it very clear that she did not want to do that. And then so they pushed further and she insisted on having a lawyer to address the matter. One more time, he pretty much told her, you need to remove your veils so we can identify you. So she lifted them partially while keeping her palms extended to hide the view from those people on either side.
Okay.
Yes, only the recorder was allowed to see a full glimpse before she lowered the veil again. Chief Bell's murder complaint was read aloud.
But you couldn't see it if she did.
Virginia showed no emotional reaction until she was being led away from the courtroom. No, you would not be able to see that, so I don't know why they felt the need to do that. Her body showed no emotion, I guess. When she was led away from the courtroom, she finally broke down and explained that she must have a lawyer.
Well, yeah, that she should have had one from the get-go.
Yeah, I don't know why she didn't.
I guess they were just formally giving her charges and then she could ask for one after that. I don't know.
I guess. But Franklin W. Fort, the son of the state's governor and a partner in a law firm, happened to be there on business and offered to make sure her request for a lawyer was granted.
You have a prominent politician lawyer.
After the court allowed him a brief conference with Virginia, he shielded her as she left the room.
That's his job.
Yeah. He told the reporters that he believed people who had not been convicted of a crime should not have their pictures taken against their will.
That's fair.
Yeah. He informed them that he was the counsel for Virginia and that he would make sure her niece received a proper burial.
Yeah, that has kind of went overlooked, hasn't it?
Yeah. As the press continued to cover the case, witnesses started sharing their accounts of encounters with these unusual women in black. One store owner reported that on August 21st, a veiled woman dressed in black visited the store. She requested that he come to her house with a camera to photograph a sick woman in bed. He agreed and arrived at the house on the morning of August 22nd, where he found a woman in bed with a child beside her, and they were accompanied by 2 women in black. 4 days later, Virginia called the store and told him that if the proofs were good enough, she would purchase a large order. And she claimed she wanted to send the pictures to OC's husband in the South as well as other relatives.
Okay.
Do you remember in the first part how...
She said she died, didn't she?
Yeah. So this contradicts that, but okay. But in the end, she did not end up ordering any pictures.
She could say because he died.
I guess, yeah. Other witnesses came forward reporting that Virginia would request shop owners to receive her mail and telegrams at their establishments. They initially agreed in exchange for payment, but the volume of mail and telegrams eventually became too overwhelming.
That's so unusual, too.
Yes. So it would lead the shop owners to take away this agreement. They said, no, we can't do this. You're cluttering our store with your mail and telegrams.
And she paid it compared to what she didn't pay for rent and everything.
Yeah. Well, who was sending you so much stuff?
I guess insurance companies. Have you heard about our new niece policy?
Also, at the end of part 1, I mentioned the frequent requests the women in black made for lawyers and notaries to assist with OC's will.
I bet there's a lot of those came forward.
A witness told about being asked to witness OC's signature, always at night. However, he refused to provide a stamp on one occasion because he hadn't personally seen the signatures being made, and OC was not even present during the time.
Had to grease some palms to get that done someplace, I'm sure.
Another witness told of 2 women in black coming to him for advice on handling creditors. They claimed that the money they owed would be coming in soon from the death of a family member.
How do you plan that?
And that the money from this dead member of the family would settle their debts. They just needed advice on how to keep the creditor from bothering them until the relative died.
Oh, man.
Oh, y'all are awful. You're not even, no shame.
And they didn't come forward until someone's already dead. Not a soul came forward. Well, one did. One of the doctors or somebody said. Yeah.
Did.
So nobody cared because they got paid well, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And I suppose discretion when it comes to certain things is important.
A lawyer who was at the house to assist with another change in OC's will made a remark on her poor health and the need for medical attention and food. This alarmed the 2 women in black who claimed they couldn't afford a doctor or food.
But they got a lawyer.
So the lawyer took out his checkbook and then he pretended he had no pen, which this prompted the 2 women to leave the room in search of one. While they were away, OC confided in the lawyer. She retrieved a hidden will and instructed the lawyer to modify it to ensure the women couldn't control her estate. She then told him about the women starving her and withholding medication.
Which might not even have been necessary if she'd have been properly fed. And
I don't think the medication would have, maybe at that point it had gone on for so long, probably, but I feel like with food.
Could have handled a lot of the problem.
Yeah. The lawyer made the changes OC asked for and.
That's what he was paid to do.
Yeah. And when the women returned, he offered a check for food. When they claimed they couldn't cash it, he handed out a $5 bill. Why'd they go get the pen if they claimed they couldn't cash it?
They just weren't thinking about it, I guess.
Oh,
I bet they owed the bank money.
Probably.
Why not cash it? If he offered it to you, why not just take it in there and pay off a little of your debt, shut them up for a minute?
I guess. I don't know.
Can you imagine getting a check for $5 for food?
Back in them days, it was fine. Nowadays, enjoy your stick of gum.
I don't remember the last time I laid eyes on a check. Oh, the COVID money that Trump set out.
Mine was just automatically put in my bank account.
Mine wasn't. It was mailed, and it was courtesy of Donald J. Trump. It was written on it.
But when one of the women pulled out her bag to put the $5 in it, he noticed that it had 2 $20 bills in it.
These women, they're bright sometimes and then silly the next.
So he obviously confronted them about acting like they didn't have any money for necessities for OC, and one of them explained it away with the excuse that the money was pension money that didn't belong to them. I'm buying food first.
Don't trust me with your money if I'm an old starving woman.
At the New York Life Office, officials mentioned policies being frequently lost on the accounts for OC's life insurance policies. They would have to make copies or reissue them many times. It happened so often that they began to become concerned about potential loan fraud using the duplicated policies. probably correct concern. That's probably what was going on. The policies were also repeatedly reassigned to different family members. On October 29th, 1909, Virginia visited the office to discuss policy reassignment and
again.
Yeah, and displays such extensive knowledge of the insurance business that it raised suspicions, and it prompted a company-wide warning about her.
She's a menace.
So she apparently knew every single little detail, every single little step, to the point that they were like, oh, watch out for her. This little old lady in black is...
She's better at this than I ever was.
Yeah. Many times, people whose services were requested by the Sisters in Black were shown OC's life insurance policies as a promise for payment.
That is wild.
It is.
See how frail she is? You'll have your money in no time.
Oh, it's awful. Why did these people just... I guess technically there wasn't much they could do.
Yeah.
But I would at least sit there and watch their house to let them know, I see you.
They were crafty.
Yeah.
And they befuddled people, I'm sure. Just their manner and the way they'd done things.
Yeah. By November 1909, the investigation revealed that the policies on OC's life had been exhausted of all available funds. The only remaining way to get money with them was through her death.
And she drowned.
Yes. And then this entire sum would go to Martha Eliza Wardlaw, OC's grandmother, who was 84 years old and nearly blind.
But guaranteed to outsurvive her.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
So pretty much upon OC's death, only her elderly and visually impaired grandmother would be there to prevent the sisters from getting this insurance money.
What do you want to bet that she's the only one that didn't owe a bunch of money to people, too, so they couldn't collect?
Oh, you learn more about her in a bit. Poor grandma.
Oh.
All of the uncovered information regarding the case was handed over to Wilbur A. Mott, the public prosecutor for Essex County. As the evidence stacked up, he recognized the circumstances surrounding OC's death strongly suggested foul play. And of course, considering the witnesses' account, they also suspected that OC's husband Fletcher was still alive. Despite the overwhelming amount of information from various sources, Virginia's lack of cooperation left many questions unanswered, like, where's the other sisters? Where's OC's grandmother? Where's OC's husband if he is alive?
Where is everybody?
Yeah. Where is everybody? So we're going to get into some family history, finally. Normally I would start this off with the family history, but this time I'm not. By December 2nd, neighbors of the mysterious house told the family... By December 2nd, neighbors of the mystery house told that the family had stored their belongings at Eagle Warehouse and Storage in Brooklyn. So they tried using the names Wardlaw or Sneed, but nothing turned up. Then the detectives tried searching under the name of OC's baby, David Pollock. They found a decent amount of furniture in good condition under that name. And along with the furniture, they also discovered many trunks filled with clothes, family records, documents, and newspaper clippings.
So at least they had stuff.
Yeah, they had it. They just wasn't using it for some reason.
They had to move so often because people got freaked out by them.
I think it's because they didn't pay rent.
Yeah.
As the detectives pieced together the information scattered throughout the luggage and packages, they discovered connections to prominent families in Georgia, Kentucky, Virginia, and Tennessee. References in an encyclopedia further revealed ties to many influential families who played a significant role in shaping the American South before the Civil War.
They're all just old Southern belles.
Yes, they are. The documents revealed that John Baptiste Wardlaw, born in Georgia, married Martha Eliza Goodall and had 6 kids: Caroline, Virginia, John, Albert, Bessie, and Mary.
Bessie. He used to have a swing named Bessie.
Yeah. John died in 1896, and his wife, Martha Eliza, was the grandmother whose location police were investigating in New York. Records indicate that the eldest child, Caroline, was born in 1845, which made her 64 years old at that present time.
Mm-hmm.
She had married Colonel Robert M. Martin of Louisville, Kentucky. She was also the mother of OC. Mary, who was 3 years younger than Caroline, married Fletcher T. Sneed, a Confederate veteran and prominent lawyer in Georgia, who had served as a mayor multiple times as well. They had 3 sons, Fletcher, John, and Albert. The records discovered by the detectives also revealed that OC had married her Aunt Mary's son, Fletcher. making him not only her husband, but her first cousin as well. There's that. Virginia Wardlaw was born in 1852. She was 57 years old at that time, and she had never been married.
Oh, she was a spinster.
Mm-hmm.
Given her southern upbringing, that's what they had called her.
Yes. Now, when Virginia was confronted with her family history, she still stayed silent and refused to disclose the whereabouts of any of her family in the South.
Well, why would she need to? You done figured it out.
No, not the present moment. It was just some of the history of, hey, we know that you come from prominent families.
Okay. And what does that have to do with me?
We know that you are a Southern aristocrat. So instead of answering the questions, she just kept insisting that she was innocent and claimed that the way the police treated her was appalling. Detective O'Neill discovered an unusual dark pattern among the various newspaper clippings during the search. They had lots of those laying around everywhere for some reason.
Huh.
Just bunches of newspaper clippings. Many of them described peculiar and violent deaths or near-death experiences. One, for example, was about a woman who had miraculously recovered from an illness, only to later be killed in a car accident. O'Neill discovered an address, 466 West 22nd Street, on one of the most recent bills in the bundles of documents they went through. He and Detective Riker went to the address where the housekeeper, Mrs. Kathleen Bond, informed them that 3 women in black, O.C. Sneed, and the grandmother had all lived there until recently. She told them that Mary Sneed and the grandmother was still in the house.
Oh, found her.
Yes. The detectives and reporters found Mary, a gentle, soft-spoken woman dressed in black with a veiled face, and the grandmother, who was in a corner in a weak and nearly blind state. She was just kind of like huddled in a corner. Poor grandma.
Yeah.
When informed of Virginia's arrest, the women showed very little emotion and, like Virginia, refused to answer questions. At first.
Oh, at first.
At first. Then, eventually, Mary spoke up to defend Virginia. She revealed that O.C. and Fletcher were cousins and believed that her son Fletcher was deceased. She explained how O.C. had been sent to school in the South, and that's where her and Fletcher had lived in their childhoods and were frequently together, and eventually were married in 1906 and moved to New York, where they had their first child, who died 2 days after birth. Mary stated that her son Fletcher had gone south for his health earlier that year and that they had not seen him since. Apparently, he left with her sister Caroline.
Uh-oh.
She had told that O.C. had received a note saying he had died and that they had no reason to doubt it. That's your son. You have no reason to doubt that. You don't want to see a body?
He ran off with another person.
Yeah, his aunt. To be fair, I don't know if anything was going on with them, but that's strange.
Mm-hmm. He might have had consumption. I don't know. But I always thought people went out west for that. Higher elevations and things.
Mary explained that they stayed secluded because they didn't find it appropriate to mingle with their neighbors because the neighbors were working class and not well educated. Y'all are broke. Why are you being so judgy?
Oh, I love them. They're the best.
You're broke. You are the working class now.
No, they didn't work a day in their life, Beth.
They did. They were teachers.
Oh, yeah, teachers, yes. Well, that's educated. If they did their job right, so would the working people.
Oh. Following the explanations of a few things from Mary, Detectives O'Neill and Riker requested that Mary and her mother accompany them to East Orange. However, they refused to leave the room.
Why should I? We can answer everything here.
Yeah.
Okay? Are you charging us?
I mean, to be fair, I probably wouldn't either. And as no crime had been committed in New York, the detectives could do nothing more than just place the house under surveillance and then leave.
I would love to see their smug faces under those veils. It's like, that's right, you just leave.
During this time, Virginia's lawyer attempted to explain her refusal to answer questions by stating that she and her family feared that their financial difficulties would be made public. As the investigation progressed, more witnesses...
We can handle scandal. We cannot handle being poor. So...
I know. Yeah. We have our dead relative just rotting in our upstairs bathroom.
Just you wait until I'm out of here.
And starving.
We won't have financial problems after I get my life insurance policies in and sue you for slander.
As the investigation progressed, more witnesses shared their encounters just coming out of the woodworks everywhere with these peculiar women. One individual who had cared for the elderly grandmother recounted the grandmother's fear of her daughter, Caroline. When asked about the reason for her fear, the grandmother expressed that where she was unable to care for herself, Caroline took all of her money,
Oh, no.
which apparently she had a lot of before Caroline took it. She then explained that her daughter would stick her wherever until she had carried out whatever schemes she was involved in at the time.
Huh.
So poor grandma's just not interested in this shenanigans.
No.
She just wants to
Live out her remaining days in peace.
Yeah, and she's just gotten drug into this. The same witness also mentioned that the daughter visited one night at 10 p.m. So she, I guess, decided to do what everybody does and eavesdropped. Through the door, she heard the elderly grandmother crying while saying she didn't want any of the money if her daughter was going to obtain it that way. The daughter responded that the grandmother would take it the way she received it and that she would get the money soon because, quote, she wouldn't live much longer, which I'm assuming OC is who Caroline was talking about.
Yeah. But this is all hearsay, though.
Yeah.
It sounds bad, but I'm not into hearsay that much.
Yeah. And you're admitting to eavesdropping.
Yeah.
A few days later, the daughter returned and the landlady demanded payment for rent. And the daughter assured the landlady that money would soon be available from the insurance on a family member who was about to die. And so the landlady, I'm sure, did not believe her or want any part of that because who says something like that? And so she evicted them.
They're on their deathbed. Just give it some time.
Several witnesses who met OC reported to the police that she seemed unwell, as if she were under a hypnotic spell. Charles Jacobs, a clerk at the King's clothing store, recalled OC and the woman in black coming to the store. She asked them and two other clerks to witness a will. The document had already...
At the clothing store.
Yes.
It's like walking into J.C. Penney with your notary.
Well... Yes, but I guess they went along with it. I don't know how.
All you have to do is witness it.
I thought you had to have a license for that.
They just had to be a witness saying, yes, I was there and this has been signed.
She asked him and two other clerks to witness a will. The document had already been signed with the name OCWM Sneed. When Jacobs asked OC if it was her last will and testament, she remained silent while looking down at the floor. So he repeated the question, and that's when the older woman dressed in black answered, "Of course it is," while shaking OC's arm and telling her to say yes. OC merely nodded her head in response without actually saying anything.
That is the most bizarre thing. And I would be inclined just to sign it to get them out of my store after that.
Yeah.
Just go. Awkward.
She's probably just bones at this point as well.
Yeah.
And you're just shaking.
Rattling.
Oh. By this point in the investigation, the police stated their belief publicly that not only did they think Virginia was guilty of the murder, but that her sisters, Mary Sneed and the missing Caroline Martin, were likely involved as well.
It sounds like the whole town's involved in some way or another. Everybody's witnessed something, got some money from it. There's nobody here that can't tell you something about this.
Uh-huh.
Just have the whole city come in, well, out of 2 or 3 states, I guess, and give a testimony, and most of them will tell you they've seen these women and signed something for them. The cafe down the street probably witnessed a couple. It worked for a long time.
You want to go get something signed at the Old Navy?
I'm in the mood for some Long John Silver's. Might as well grab this week's wheel on the way out.
Oh, ew. I don't like Long John Silver's. What about KFC? That's the end of part 2.
Oh, well, that was good.
I wanted to get more into the rest of the relatives.
I like this. I still like the sassy women. I don't care how mean they were. I hate the fact they were beating up an old woman. I hate to imagine someone mistreating old people. Also, these other women are old and just sassy and hateful, and it's just like the best kind of old person.
But no, I wanted to try to get into the others. I felt like it was going to be extremely long because I wouldn't have a good place to stop. So I felt like, okay, we found one of the other sisters and Granny, so there will be a part 3.
Oh, it's okay. I've enjoyed them. And you can go into more detail in each episode if you make it longer like this.
Yeah.
Drag it out. If you like what you heard here, we have 2 other podcasts. We're part of the Gruesome Gaming Group podcast network. We have Leveling Duo. It's a podcast where me and my friend Dakota, or me and Beth, or all 3 of us, talk about video games. It used to be just about video games we really liked when we was growing up. And now it's more about video games we just like in general, but they don't come out that often. So if you subscribe, one day, ever so often, there'll be a new episode pop up about some new game. We have Brother Knows Quest. It's a podcast where me and Beth talk about tabletop role-playing games. It was just about me telling Beth about tabletop role-playing games, but now she's also telling me about ones that she's interested in, or has just bummed off my shelf to look over. So that don't come out till the 1st of January. Well, actually, there's a new episode coming out. She just done this. Yeah, we were reformatting for the last month, but now it's we're trying to pick it back up. So you can find all that in a Linktree link in the description. There'll be our podcast homepage, the first link in the Linktree, and then the rest of them will be socials and other ways to reach out to us and follow us. There's a Facebook group for Horrific History and Hauntings. There'll be an email below the Linktree link. You can reach out that way if you want to say hi, give us an idea. Beth, tell them what you would like to hear from them.
Any suggestions or stories of your own, personal stories that could be haunting, spooky, morbid?
Anything, just also you're welcome to say hi.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. If you don't want to leave a review, we get to leave a review. We appreciate reviews on your podcast app. Even if they're not good ones, at least we know something's wrong. But if you don't like it, I don't think you're still listening at episode 60-something. We save the reviews that we can find and plan on reading them off. We do it like once every few months as we collect more reviews. So if you don't mind us, just tell us if you don't want us to leave your name. We'll always use your first name if it's our name on the review at all. And otherwise, make sure we don't do that. Let us know. Below all the socials and Linktree link and all that is an option to leave a donation or tip. We appreciate those. They help keep the podcast hosted. It's secure. It uses Stripe, by the way. We don't know your card information, nothing like that. You can leave a message up that way, too, if you like. Leave your name and messages. It shows you on our website as someone who is tipped. We're on YouTube and everything, but the Linktree link will have all that kind of stuff on there. Beth is thinking about doing some sim streams or other game streams soon. We finally got her set up, not just mine. Really wanted her own, so we still got her stuff started working on it now. That should be it. Thank you for listening. I've been Ramy.
And I'm Beth.
And this has been HH&H. Bye-bye.